Mm. Thank you for having me, Nirvan.
Mhm.
Um, the Who's in Retreat has been my first ever retreat I've been to, and it's the only retreat I go to. Yeah, I started going to the retreat a few years ago. The first time it was, I think 2018 maybe, or 2019, not sure exactly what year it was. It was here in Montreal. And it was a friend of mine who referred me to the retreat. She sent me the link and she said, I think you would like that. And it was a time of my life where I was starting to being open to spirituality and understanding like what meditation is, what spirituality is. I didn't know anything about that, and I was exploring at that time, and I felt I needed guidance, and uh, I was a little bit lost. And my friend said, "I think you should go there. You'll be able to." She knew Ramya, by the way, so she said Ramya will be able to help you with this. And this is how I went the first time. I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. I had no idea what it was, but I just knew like I needed to go there. So I went, and and since then I've been going almost every year.
Mhm. So can you talk us about what was this yes? What was the drive to this yes? What happened to being curious about maybe meditation and spirituality? What was the trigger of saying, okay, yeah, I want to explore this more because what was happening inside?
Um, I was in a deep search of who am I? I had this question on my mind day and night all the time for months. I was going through just went before going to the retreat. I went through a huge life change in my personal life. Everything changed. Um, so my whole image of myself has changed. I didn't know where I was standing. I didn't know who I was anymore. And I would go to bed every night and wake up in the morning and spend the day asking myself, who am I? Who am I? And that question was really nagging me. And I started this started my search, and I went and explored all kind of things to figure out the answer to this question. And I always thought I was gonna find an answer like, oh, you're this person. This is what you're supposed to be doing with your life. and and yeah, that question was my motivation. And when I went to Who's In, it deeply answered my question in the most honest way, like truly, who I'm truly am. And it helped me experience truly who I am inside. And I had no more, I came back and I didn't have this question anymore. It's like I knew, I just knew. I didn't need to search anymore after this.
Yeah, it seems that there is it seems like you were already in the Huisin before before coming in the Huisin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost. Yeah.
So I see that there were a lot of emotions also involved with that quest and with that without curiosity to know who you really were. And um, do you remember what were these emotions like? Was there? Mhm.
Yeah, it was a big feeling of loss and despair and grief. First, there was grief for a few months, sadness and grief, letting go of everything that I'm not, and realizing, wow, like it felt like I built my whole life thinking this is who I am, and everything crashed one day, and I was like, whoa, like it was a big shock. Like your whole identity changes, and I wasn't prepared for it. Like I wasn't I grew up in a very traditional family. I didn't have lots of uh, spiritual people around me. I didn't have this knowledge about all the spirituality today. So I didn't know anything about that, but I just experienced life and in a very traditional way. I was religious, my family was religious and everything. And then all of a sudden everything changed and everything I thought life was supposed to be or how I was supposed to be living my life, um, it was not. And then it felt like I was in a space of emptiness, like space of not knowing. I was standing there and I had no idea how to move forward. I didn't know. I had no structure, no foundation, nothing. I didn't know how to take the next step, what to believe, what not to believe, how to create something new. So yeah, there was lots of grief first, letting go of that old image, that old me, and then confusion of what it is to come, what is true, what is not true. What should I believe next? How do I rebuild from here, you know?
Mm.
And how do I move forward? And these were mostly the emotions that were going through me. And yeah,
And that was during the retreat, after or before?
that was before the
Okay,
retreat.
yeah.
Yeah. When I
Yeah,
got
so
to the,
mhm.
sorry, yeah. When I
Yeah,
got
go
to
ahead.
the retreat, the first time I went to the retreat, the first night, I think all these emotions came back. And the first night was one of the toughest night. I didn't expect that, to be honest. And I woke up the next day. I told Ramya about that. I woke up the next day and I was like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? And I remember it was cold and I was like, no, I need to leave. This is not my place. I'm packing my stuff and I'm leaving. This is not for me. So I packed all my stuff and I was heading to my car to leave and I realized I didn't have my cell phone and I needed my cell phone. So I went back to the retreat and I decided to stay. Yeah. And I'm so glad I did that. It's just made me realize like how things are so impermanent in life. Things change so quickly. We move from state to a state. And that's what we do in the retreat as well. We move so quickly from one state to another. And yeah, I was so happy to stay finally.
Yeah. So, can you talk about what made you stay? Like, what said yes to, okay, I'm about to leave, and now suddenly, no, maybe I'll stay.
it, at that time, it was just the cell phone. It was really my cell phone that made me stay. I'm so happy Ramya took it at that time because I was like, oh my gosh, I need my cell phone. I have a conference in a week from now and I'm gonna need it to use it. It's gonna be so complicated if I leave without it. And I was like, okay, go back, rethink about it. Like, do you really want to let go of everything right now and just leave, or just give it a chance, maybe things will change or something. Go and see. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back for like 1 hour and I'm gonna see like if something changes. And I remember going back that day to the retreat and I sat in front of this woman and she just said exactly what was going on in my heart and it made me cry and release. And I was like, I was so grateful for her. Like she just said exactly what I needed to hear. And I noticed the energy shifting little by little after that. And I was like, oh, okay, finally. I'm glad I stayed. I didn't do that mistake to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage as well to to go through the process. So it is, um,
Yeah.
it happens that there are moments of discomfort, and they can be intense. I remember mine as well, like that a little bit. So, um, so what happened after that? What happened that transition from going through this intense moment and then slowly um, coming into a bit of probably relaxation or more acceptance of the things that were moving.
Yeah. After this moment, it's like it felt like I was able to I was able to fall into the retreat, like to fall into the energy and to surrender to it, to surrender to whatever that is. Because going there the first time, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Even when we start the retreat, when you start the retreat the first time, I didn't even know what I was doing, you know? So we knew the process, we knew the steps, we knew what we had to do, but w- personally, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what I was doing here, and I had so much resistance to it because the mind was always coming and going, "What are you doing? What is the purpose of this?" You know, like there was always a piece of my mind, like always jumping in and going, like, "That's ridiculous. Why are you doing this?" You know, and judgment and all that. And I felt like after that moment, it felt like a total surrender. Like, you know what? Just be it. Like, just allow this moment, whatever that is. Stop, stop judging, you know? And something changed, something shifted in that moment, and I surrendered to it. And it changed my whole experience of the retreat after that. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So how did you feel the retreat after that?
Um,
How was the
It,
landing like? Hmm.
yeah. It was still challenging, but it didn't come with the judgment anymore. It was funny because before, when it was challenging, it there was like this whole piece of the mind judging and going, this is challenging, this is not good. You know, like there was all these judgment in the mind coming with it. And that's what made me want to run and go away. But then the second part after that like that moment of surrender, it felt like, okay, well, I am angry, so what? You know, like this is what it is. It is what it is. It was kind of my mantra. It is what it is. Like, and it felt like, you know, there's always that piece also when you're in a group, you're always comparing yourself to others and well, I was anyway. I was comparing myself to others, and I was like looking around and wondering, like, oh, is it just me? Is everybody judging me? But I mean, I was judging myself. Nobody was really judging me. I was just judging myself. And after that moment, it felt like that piece of judgment went away. It was like, okay, everybody's going through the same thing, you know? And I was okay with myself. I accepted whatever that moment was, and that shifted the whole experience, like to relax into it and to accept, like, you know what? I'm crying, but there was three people before me who were crying too, you know, or I'm angry and that's okay, you know, and nobody is looking at me weird or nobody is like I didn't have these thoughts anymore. Yeah.
Mm. Hmm. So there was like a sense of safety from what I'm hearing, and a sense of support from the group, and
Yeah, it felt
mm,
like we're all in it together. Like there was no, like it felt we're all in it together um and there was an acceptance also. Like me, like this was the hardest part for myself. It was accepting like whatever that moment is, it is okay, you know, to be with it, you know, to accept it, not to cover it or to make it look better than what it truly is, you know. Yeah.
yeah, allows us to arrive in the moment and fully experience it. And
Yeah.
yeah, totally. And was there another moment uh, another shift during the retreat, or did it just continue like that?
Um, it continued like that. There was a moment where, and I'm talking about my first time because I've been to this retreat 4 times, and every time has been completely different. But on that first time, I remember also there was a moment I sat in front of someone, and I realized like she was seeing stuff in me, and she was like judging me in a way. And then I stopped and I was like, what is going on? Is this truly? And it, it was a moment where I was starting to see maybe parts of myself as well that I couldn't see before. And I felt, oh, I'm going into a deeper part of me. I didn't see this part before. And this was also an interesting thing. And there were moments of joy. It wasn't just sad and cry. There were moments like of high joy and true love, and there was like ups and downs. It wasn't just sadness and challenging. There were like beautiful moments too that were in the retreat too. So yeah, you have to just take it in, all of it, no matter what it is, however it
Hmm.
comes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have an example of these moments of joy as well?
Um,
Or
uh,
if you want to talk about the joy that you experienced during the retreat. And,
it, well, I mean, it's hard to describe them because they're just emotions, and there were moments of total love to to the other people, to the other participant, but it was just love flowing from inside of me. It was my love, like just flowing, and new parts of myself opening and seeing and going, wow, okay, I didn't know this was in me. It was like, oh, now that I release this, I'm able to see myself truly. I'm able to, to truly connect to this part of me I couldn't connect to before. And there were moments of like high, intense joy where I was like, wow, I've never felt this joy before. Yeah.
mm, yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened? What was your experience after the retreat? Because a lot of things moved and there was this ups
Yeah.
and downs. And do you notice yourself different after the retreat? Was there a big or a small moment where you said like, wow, things really changed? Hmm.
Yeah. I think the first time I was on a high for a week or two after the retreat, and I think it's a little bit normal. I mean, we went so many changes and shifts, and then you come back to your regular life. You come back to normal, and but you notice you're not yourself anymore. Like I realize I changed a lot, like since I've done these retreats. Like I remember I used to be afraid sometimes to express some emotions or to just state some things, and I would just hold back or withhold whatever I was going through. And it felt after the retreat I was so much more comfortable truly saying like what's going on, what it is. And that was such a gift from this retreat to be able to do that, because it's not in our day to day. We don't have a chance, all the time with the people around us to be able to live like that, to be able to just express what's going on. And maybe we do. Maybe it was just me like putting this barrier as well, like between me and others. And I felt like this barrier was removed a little bit, or it was lowered much more, than it was before. And there was a much easiness to be with myself, and much more easiness to be with others as well, to be able to truly state what's going on inside of me, without this judgment, this judging mind, or this fear of being rejected, or this fear of being judged, or whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gift to be able to communicate the truth and be
Yeah.
okay with that communication and without filters. Hmm. Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you said that also you've done this multiple times. So, um,
Yeah.
why you decided to, okay, I've done it once and I noticed these changes and I feel the call to do it again. And
Yeah, actually, the second time I was in Pachamama, and I wanted to experience it there because it's a little bit different than in Montreal, where so much more in Pachamama. It's a very different, it's a little bit of a different context, and and it was an amazing experience in Pachamama. First, it was a little bit easier knowing what I was gonna get into, you know the process, you're a little bit more comfortable with it. And it was really interesting because in Pachamama, I was sitting in front of other women and they were going through the same thing I was going through when I first did the retreat, and they were judging, they were afraid, and I just saw myself, in them in that part, and I was like, oh wow, okay, I can see where I was, I can see myself in these ladies, like, and where I am today, being more comfortable with this part and all this. So it was a very interesting experience in that sense, and the whole environment is a little bit different. So it was really fun, and I felt I went to Pachamama at that time. I went for a few months, and I wanted to. Um, I felt the calling not just to do the retreat, but to do other stuff as well. I was in a period of time where also I was searching again for myself, because I think we always search for who we are in a way or another. And I needed to reconnect to this part to rediscover like this whole new me now that I'm changing, that I'm transforming. And this is what made me do the retreat again in Pachamama.
yeah, it is. I can hear as well I can see myself in that curiosity of saying, okay, yeah, things moved, and now it's like a new exploration of this new way of being, and
Yeah.
it is, yeah, there is something, yeah, there is curiosity, I would just say. Yeah, and the other times were like the same. Was that curiosity driving the, okay, I'm gonna do it because you mentioned you did it more than twice, um and this new discoveries, and so what brought you over and over?
Yeah. Uh, the other times it wasn't really a discovering of who I am. It was more like I feel I need to reconnect to myself. Like it was more like I feel I need to just be with myself, to return, like to truly it felt more uh, like a house cleaning of myself, because that's how it feels. It feels like, okay, I'm gonna go and work with all these parts of me, that I don't have time to do it in my day to day, or I don't have the correct environment to do it and the correct support to do it in my day to day. I'm gonna go and sit and work with all these different parts of me and look at them and discover them and talk to them and work with them and just come out of there like a little bit, more in order or more more me, like more connected to myself. Like that's what motivated me the last other two times after this to go and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, the more me sounds a good
Y-
one.
Yeah, it's a privileged moment. Like we don't realize where I don't know. I'm in my day to day. I'm very busy. Like in my day to day, I'm always uh, in my routine as well. So it's sometimes it's a little bit harder to just find this correct environment to be able to do this kind of work. And it's a very privileged moment to be able to go take a few days to yourself and sit and to truly like look at yourself in different aspects and work with these parts and come back with a new understanding and new understanding of who you are and you a vision, not vision necessarily, because we're not projecting anything about ourselves. We're truly seeing ourselves for who we are, and just cleansing it and bringing out like new parts of love of us. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Makes me giggle.
Yeah, you know what it is, huh?
And so in this process of cleanse and in this process of yeah, seeing this elements of who we really are, um wh- what was something that you notice, like, or that probably the question is more like, does it carries those whatever whatever happens during the retreat, is it carrying it in your daily life, or is it that you feel the call to come back to the retreat because it only happens in the retreat?
It- no, actually, the who's in it became it's like how do I say that? It's a tool for me. I work with every day. Whether it's something now I'm able to carry it as a tool in my day to day, whether it's my relationships with my family or my relationships at work or my friends. And it's not necessarily to experience it with the others, it's to experience it within myself. Like in every moment that I'm with someone else or every moment I'm with myself, I'm constantly asking myself, like, who is in? Like the koan is constantly working with me, like who is in? And it's a way to bring me back to, to move me through different states and to bring me back to, ah, this is who I am. Like this is truly who I am. Like this is who's truly in, and to allow me to just fall and surrender into this moment, because we get lost in our day to day, we get lost so much with the mind, with everything else that's going on. And it feels like it's like a little star that guides me back home, every time. That's how I do it. I even have a mirror in my home, like, that I put on the floor, and sometimes I just come back from my day, my work or something, and I just sit in front of it and I'm practicing like the who's in, with myself. It's a little guidant guidance star, back home to myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just and does it happen automatically, or is it something that you intentionally do?
No, it's something that I intentionally do.
Mm.
I wish it was automatic, but not not yet. It's something that I intentionally do. Um, uh, it's and it's like when I feel, I don't know, I'm gonna share my own experience. I feel like uh, the more conscious we become of who we are, of ourselves, the more we feel it. I mean, the quicker we feel right away as soon as we divert from who we are, or as soon as we become a little bit unconscious, we feel it right away, and like there's something wrong. And for me, that's how it feels like when I know I'm not being myself, or I'm not being like my true self. I feel it right away and it hurts. It's painful. Like there's negative emotions associated to it. And this is my cue oftentimes to know, oh, okay, there's something I'm not aligned with internally, with who I truly am. Let me sit and do the work. Let me do this cleaning, return to who I am really, like come back to this to reality, to this moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that there is also this element um of automatic, that it happens on its own, because it kind of tells us in a way, okay, there is something
Yeah.
that is happening here, and then the whizzing becomes, or the practice becomes the tool of coming back. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly it. Yeah.
Awesome. And would there be something that you would say to somebody, or that you would like to express in terms of, if like an invitation, or um, is there something else that you would like to share um, in terms of for somebody that has never done the process?
Mm.
What would be this something that you would like to share? without necessarily being a yes, we have to do or you have to do this, but more of like, yeah, this is what happened here, and
I think we have to do this process when we're ready, and life will remind us when we're ready. It will bring us exactly to this moment. And if you find yourself, like, if anybody find themselves, like, I was sent this invitation by a friend, and this is how it came into my path. And if you find like this retreat comes to your past, like, that's because that moment is here for you to take advantage of it. So even if you feel hesitant or resistance, just know, like, if it's there, it's because it's meant for you to attend it, in a way. So I would say, t- go for it, because it's a true gift. And it may be hard, it may be challenging at the beginning, but it's a true gift. There's so much you get out of it. There's so much that you lose from it, and you lose all this part of the ego, all these illusions that we cover ourselves with in our day to day. And it's a beautiful tool to have, as a day everyday practice eventually. Yeah.
yeah. Really, really nice words. Yeah. Thank you, Sandra.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you,
for
Nima.
sharing the journey and the gifts and the treasures and the challenges that you
Mm.
experienced. Yeah.
Thank you for giving me the space to do that as well, and you're a big part of my journey as well. You've been there almost every retreat that I did as well. So I'm very grateful for your presence. You helped me in challenging moments during some of the retreats, and I'm very grateful for your presence as well here and in the retreats as well.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you, Sandra. Yeah, thanks again for accepting the invitation and your experience out there. So
Mm.
yeah.